guess who we saw sitting ringside? ERROL Spence, the other welterweight champion, who watched that knockdown, put his hand to his face, and said, I'm out of here. Spence and his guys got up.
What's good, family? So smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So we just saw there, my dog, ERROL Spence, exposing and shaking his head at this set-up, fixed fight between the inside fight between best friends and best collusions. Yeah, listen, they're running the cartel. The Sean Porter, Terence Crawford cartel right now, 100% fixed fight. Yeah, I mean, hearing Sean Porter after the fight saying, after his dad pulled him out after some phantom shots. That was a Malik Scott knockdown. That was a Malik Scott versus Deontay Wilder knockdown. That second one. Didn't even get punched. That was a balanced shot. And you can see by Sean Porter's reaction, i.e. how cognitively sharp he still was. Banging the canvas. He weren't a bit unconscious. He was all the way conscious. Yeah? Fresh looking ass. Nothing wrong with the dude. Then after the fight, he talking about, Terence Crawford the best. Yeah, he the best. Terence Crawford's leagues above the rest. I bet he is. Now your dad pulled you out. Yeah? And who knows? Maybe Terence Crawford was going to finish him anyway, but what's your scary looking dad doing? Yeah? About Marvin Hagler. Goofy. But anyway, going back to Spence. You see Spence's reaction. This is a leaked reaction. Ain't no one seen this one yet. Yeah? And I can't lie, I was pretty surprised that Spence was even there. That Spence pulled up, in my opinion, from what I've heard, and I've spoke to some people who know Spence, and they told me that the reason Spence pulled up was because he thought that he had a good feeling inside that if the fight wasn't fixed, that Sean Porter was going to give Terence Crawford the business. Yeah? Because little ass Gamboa, 130-pound soaking wet Gamboa, gave your man Crawford the business. And don't forget, ERROL Spence has been in there with Sean Porter, so he knows that guy ain't no joke. Yeah? Remember when Sean Porter was spinning ERROL Spence around for fun? On the ropes, yeah? So ERROL Spence is thinking, well, I beat Sean Porter, but that was a hard-ass fight. In my prime, before the car crash, so I know that he's going to give Terence Crawford the hands. Oops. Little did you know that, and what unfortunately for ERROL Spence, and to his disgust, he then finds out that it's all, the fix is in. Yeah, because you can see ERROL Spence looking at, watching the replay, and then he shakes his head because he knows the shots didn't land. Watch the replay. The shots didn't land. It was phantom. And again, I wouldn't mind so much. Okay, the shots didn't land, and you got pulled out. But for the shots not to land, and then for you to go on, the first thing out of Sean Porter's mouth wasn't, "Oh, I'm pissed off about the stoppage." It was, "Wow, Terence Crawford the best ever." Terence Crawford. The mad thing was, the interviewer says a question to Sean Porter, and Sean Porter says, "Oh, I know you were going to ask me about who's the best one I fought," and the interviewer didn't even ask him that, So he goes, "Oh, I knew you were going to ask me to compare who's the best out of all of them." When the interviewer really said to him, "What do you think?" I think he said, "What do you think is next for your career or something?" And Sean Porter completely made a random question up in his own mind and spurted out that, "Oh, yeah, Crawford's leagues above the rest." Leagues above the rest? You got pulled out. Yeah? Didn't even get to finish the fight. Didn't even give him the hands. And what I don't understand is, some of Sean Porter's best work was when he was giving Terence Crawford the hands. Instead of giving Terence Crawford some more hands, number one, you got pulled out. But even before you got pulled out, you was jumping with your chin in the air. What has jumping with your chin in the air got to do with putting combinations together? It's got nothing to do with it. Watch Mike Tyson. Watch Alvarez. You don't have to. And yes, to be fair, Mike Tyson was explosive coming in, but he didn't lead with his chin. His body, his hands, and his feet would go in motion together. Sean Porter literally leaps forward, yeah, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. His chin is 100% the first thing to move forward. He moves forward like a slanted L. Yeah? In fact, the way Sean Porter moves forward, have you ever seen them things? What they called? You know the ones you can stand on, and you lean forward and they kind of drive you around. They're two-wheel things. They're quite popular these days, especially in the UK. Them two-wheeler things, they're like Zoomers or something. Either way, that's how Sean Porter moves forward. He moves forward like a Zoomer. Yeah? Fully slanted forward, like he's floating. Like a ghost-looking ass. Goofing, and you're coming out here sucking off Terence Crawford. Oh, he's the best by miles. You wouldn't know he's the best by miles because you got pulled out before you found out how good he really was. Scary. And I have to agree with... Listen, I'm the one who's been saying for the longest that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford need to fight. Yeah? That said, I take things on a case-by-case basis, and I have to agree with Errol Spence on this one. This was a funky looking ass fight, and Errol Spence left in disgust. He thought, I ain't hanging around for this. I know the fix is in. Yeah? Because he knows how tough Sean Porter is. He knows Sean Porter ain't going to just roll on the floor for nothing. So the minute Errol Spence started seeing Sean Porter jumping on the floor and getting pulled out, and Kenny, and the thing is as well, people, I've got some more information coming soon, but one of my insider Vegas dons told me that there was a lot of money in the last 24 hours before the fight, yeah. There was a lot of money going on to the back end late round stoppage out of nowhere. And from what I'm hearing that your man Kenny Porter was cashing out, really cashing out, knowing that, wait there a minute, this is my son's last fight. Let's go out of a bang, yeah. Let's whack a load, let's double down on our own stoppage. Pulled him out. And I'm not being funny here, but just look how the fight changed. Sean Porter, yeah, he wasn't, for the first 6-7 rounds, he wasn't leaping forward with his chin. Then all of a sudden, it's almost as if they said, well, okay, we're winning this fight, but we know we need to lose in the last few rounds. We can't make it too obvious, so let's just start leading with our chin. Because I'm not being funny, we know Terence Crawford can counterpunch. We know Terence Crawford's about 6 inches taller. So, naturally, when you're so much taller than someone, it's so easy to counterpunch. Because you've got that split second to move and get your shot off as they're coming forward. But Sean Porter wasn't doing that for the whole fight. Until the last few rounds that his pops had loaded cash onto. That's a fact. It don't make no sense to me. Because even in the Errol Spence fight, Sean Porter had tightened up his technique. And he wasn't leaping forward in the Spence fight. So while all of a sudden, and I wouldn't mind so much yet, let's say that Sean Porter was leaping throughout the Terence Crawford fight and finally got caught, that wasn't the case though. What switch was clicked that you decided to suddenly start leading with your chin? I'll tell you what switch it was. It was the, okay, I'm retiring, let's cash out switch. We got the Vegas odds on nicely, and we'll triple up our money with a nice round stoppage. But yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not at all impressed with this fight. The whole situation stinks, and Errol Spence is pissed right now, and rightfully so. He can't believe it. He can't believe that he had to go and have a proper fight with Sean Porter, and meanwhile, Terence... Listen, Terence loves... That's the thing. Terence loves, fighting. Don't forget, Sean Porter already exposed Crawford and said that, Crawford, you stay ducking. You ducked me for 2 years. And don't forget as well, guess what? This wasn't a voluntary, this was a mandatory. Sean Porter forces a mandatory. Your man Terence Crawford, what's he been doing for the last 5 years? He loved fighting. Even he was trying to fight Manny, wasn't he? Let's be real now. He tried to fight, his whole career was trying to fight a 50-year-old man. That's what Terence Crawford's career was based around for the last 5 years. Yeah? That's why he was with Bob. So people say that, Errol Spence is ducking Terence Crawford, but for me, there's ducking on both sides, because guess what? Why hasn't Crawford left to go to PBC? The same way Alvarez left to go to PBC to fight Caleb Plant. And Alvarez is an A-side. So that shows that if Alvarez, who is a 10 times bigger A-side than Crawford, can leave his DAZN to go to his promoter to go to Caleb Plant, Terence Crawford could have done the same, but guess what? Your man Crawford, he wanted to fight old people. He loved fighting old people. He liked fighting Amir Khan. He liked fighting Kell Brook. And to be fair to Errol Spence, he don't fight old people so much. Yeah, he tried to fight Pacquiao, but that was really the only old dude he tried to fight. He'd been fighting Danny Garcia and them, man, and Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter when he was fresher. Yeah? And Kell Brook in his prime, almost. So, listen. And to be honest, what can I say, man? In fact, actually, I'm going to do a video on this in its own right, but Errol Spence ended up punked Sean Porter off, and his pops and said, listen, Sean, why were you giving it all to Marvin Hagler for? Where was Marvin Hagler when your pop pulled you out at the first sign of trouble? You scary ass. Yeah, 100%. Errol Spence should have aired him out some more, because we'll be on to you. 100%, we on to you, Sean. Yeah? Scamming your fans. Scary Sean Porter. Sean scary ass Porter.